Even before the war began, for Israelis living alongside the Gaza Strip, every moment of the last 8 years has been lived in terror. It has been an almost daily routine, loudspeakers blaring out the words "Code Red" and everyone running for cover. Seconds later, mortar shells and rockets fired by Palestinian militants drop from the skies. It can happen at any moment, up to dozens of times a day. Code Red has become a way of life.
From one side, the life is very beautiful, and from the other side, people trying to kill you. You have alarm every couple of hours.
For most Israelis, Sderot has become a symbol. For some, it's a symbol of the determination of its people to remain put no matter what. For others, it's a symbol of the government's inability to put an end to what has become an ongoing nightmare. This is the situation that led up to Israel's military strike against Islamic militants in the Gaza Strip. More than 3,000 rocket attacks against Israeli population centers during the last year alone. While fatalities have been remarkably few, even on the quietest of days, most people prefer to stay indoors. Michelle Catorza and her husband immigrated from Tunisia about 50 years ago, fulfilling a dream to live in Israel. This was not the life they expected for their children.
There's a lot of tension and fear, but we try to hide it, especially within the family. It's not that we're brave, but we have to make an effort.
The Catorzas live in one of Sderot's nicest neighborhoods, but lately it has taken on the look of a construction site as more and more residents add bomb shelters to their homes.
It's not a normal life. We have no night and no day. All the time we fight about the Qassam.
So how do you feel living here?
We stay here in Sderot because we love Sderot. We born in Sderot. But all of my family is here.
Controlled by the militant Hamas movement, which rejects Israel's existence, the Gaza Strip is little more than a stone's throw away, making Sderot and surrounding communities easy targets for rocket and mortar fire. Meanwhile, very few area residents have left. Some simply can't afford to. Others have decided to stay put for ideological reasons. Surprisingly, those we spoke with retain a measure of sympathy for the Palestinians across the border.
They're people too. They have children too. They want to live. Believe me, we don't want to have to shoot at them, but they're shooting at us.
It's not clear whether Israel's armed response will succeed in altering the status quo. Even at the height of the Israeli offensive, Palestinian rocket attacks have continued. At the same time, Israel's government has been slow in implementing promised protective measures. A few schools have been structurally reinforced, like this one, which received a concrete dome. Some bus stop shelters have been made bomb-proof, but most public buildings and private dwellings remain vulnerable. Despite the situation, life, after a fashion, does go on. But it's a life in which peace of mind depends upon always knowing where to run when you hear the words "Code Red." In the town of Sderot, not everything is as it appears to be. Take this caterpillar, for example. Looks like a great place to play, right? Well, it's more than that. If the sirens wail, the children can step inside because this caterpillar is rocket-proof. But the people who live here are not. 8 years of constant tension have taken a heavy psychological toll, especially on children.
They were born into a world that first they know and they feel that the world isn't a safe place, but it's worse because they feel and they see the fears in their mother's eyes.
Dalia Yosef commutes to Sderot. She and a team of psychotherapists and social workers treat hundreds of children and adults. She uses games like Qassam Monopoly to help youngsters cope with everyday realities that include rocket alerts, ambulances, and shelters. She's worried about the long-term effects of growing up in Sderot, but more concerned with immediate needs.
It's not a post-traumatic stress disorder. We're dealing with the trauma here. It's ongoing all the time.
Would you raise your kids in a place like this?
Wow, it's a huge question.
For Cheryl Ben-David, who immigrated from the Philippines and married a Sderot native, the question stopped on the day her home came under attack.
I saw my kids' eating table, my kids' cart, everything all over the place. 15 minutes we were eating in that place. And if I didn't go to the room, we're not here. We're dead.
And so Cheryl and her family decided to leave Sderot. They left the rockets behind, but took the memories with them.
It's always in my mind that the rocket will come hit my head, and nightmares, depression. It takes a day at a time to get rid of the fear.
One day at a time, from one moment to the next, Israelis living near the Gaza Strip are waiting to see if Israeli military actions will bring an end to the rocket attacks. This is Michael Greenspan in Sderot, Israel, reporting for Worldfocus.